everybody, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like my videos, please smash that button, please do subscribe. Friday morning, good morning everyone. Has got a lot colder, a bit freezing this morning. I didn't realise how the temperature had dropped. So it's 21.5 degrees in here, so it's got a lot cooler. So Friday morning, hope everybody has a lovely Friday and has a great weekend. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. It's Friday the 13th. I'm not the superstitious type,
God.
but I do get a bit spooky sometimes. Why not ask me to scare you?
Oh my God, I didn't realise it was Friday the 13th today. Unlucky for some, it is Friday the 13th. Alexa, what's the date today?
Good morning, Crystal. Today is Friday the 13th of September.
Alexa, what's the time, please?
It's 8:12 a.m.
Alexa, what's the weather outlook?
In Rochester, it's 6 degrees Celsius with clear skies and sun. Today's forecast calls for more of the same, with a high of 17 degrees and a low of 6 degrees.
Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
What did the frog say when he went to the library? Reddit, Reddit, Reddit.
Alexa, whose birthday is it today?
Today's famous birthdays include German Association football player Thomas Müller, Swedish activist and computer expert Peter Sunder, American rapper, songwriter Playboy Carti, Filipino politician Bongbong Marcos, and American singer-songwriter and musician Fiona Apple.
So, good morning everybody. I've got up. I'm getting older, and I think a lot of people do. I feel like I've got a bit rusty this morning. All my joints feel, my legs are creaking as well. It is a lot colder. Just made myself a cup of toffee nut latte, which is a coffee, to try and wake myself up this morning, although the freezing cold weather has woken me up a little bit. So, good morning everybody again. I know I keep saying it. So last night I took Max out for a walk. It's pretty quiet. I mean, it is getting colder, and you just want to stay indoors and keep warm, to be fair. So got to try and dig out a warm coat. So I've been wearing my denim jacket. I like my denim jacket, but I need to dig out a warmer coat because it is starting to get quite cold. So last night I came back in from a walk, and I just sit down and basically I find something to do. I did have to get back for a shopping delivery from Asda. So I came back home, and the Asda delivery guy had messaged me, and I didn't get the message because I didn't take my phone out on the field. Came back, the shopping was relatively early. I'd been, to occupy my time, I'd been, playing Scrabble Go, playing a different game, watching the telly in between, the news, etc. And then the delivery came about 8:20 because it was due between 8:30 and 9:30, so it was early, thank goodness. And the guy rang my buzzer, Indian chap. The shopping was brilliant, nothing wrong with it. The guy was okay, it was relatively quiet, and Max and Harry were out in the hallway. They came out. They look after me. My pets look after me. They were out in the corridor. So that was okay. I put the shopping away, and I basically just looked for something to watch on Netflix, and I came across this film which has mixed reviews. Back to Black with 2024. Back to Black with Amy Winehouse. This irresistible narrative, AARP, traces the life of British singer Amy Winehouse from her rise to fame to her tragic death. Marisa Abela stars. So,
excuse me, are you Amy Winehouse?
This is what I watched last night.
Angel, yeah, I am. Can I have your autograph?
Yeah, of course you can. What's your name, Angel?
Abby.
Abby.
So, it's very sad what happened to Amy Winehouse. She died when she was 27. Alcohol poisoning. She got introduced to drugs. Very, very, very sad. I hadn't watched that film, so I wanted to watch it. When I go onto YouTube, I've watched many, many, many things on Amy Winehouse. Many, 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 many things. They've got snippets of Amy Winehouse and the press following Amy Winehouse everywhere. How she didn't like fame at all. It's too much for her. So that's what I do. I sit indoors and I watch Netflix, and I'm sat mainly on my own because that's the way life is for me. I felt trapped inside of sort of kind of prison myself. And you just have to occupy your time. And I don't drink, I don't take drugs, I don't smoke. So I just, when I get depressed and I get fed up and I feel shitty, I just have to get over with it. I don't block it out with any type of drug. So, like I said, I hope everybody has a weekend. I'm going to listen to a bit of the radio now because I do like Nick Ferrari, if it is Nick Ferrari this afternoon. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player.
Is that Jan?
A great advertisement is one that has clear, concise information. And it's not about the money state, Nick, any more than we know cigarettes now cause cancer. That my father, who died of lung cancer, was a heavy chain smoker. But we now know why, and the amount of additives, and nicotine is the thing in cigarettes that makes people want to keep smoking. And it's the same with sugar. And I'm talking about myself. I am a food addict. Okay, I'm a comfort
You're
eater.
a food addict. What do you mean
I'm
by
a food
that?
addict. Well, I've always been, it's connected to a lot of my childhood.
Oh.
I use food as sort of
The
to
comfort?
sort of help with the abuse I went through.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's been with me my whole life. But it's a hook. It's something within you. And the more education you can give parents about younger children, the better, honestly, Nick, it will be.
Well,
Very often we see our children.
Doesn't every mum and dad know if you buy your son fried,
No.
your son a daughter fried chicken and chips, you're not doing them a real favour? Must know
Nick.
that, don't they?
Nick, we are the young lad. whose mother went abroad for a holiday while her son, 12-year-old,
Yeah.
he didn't even know what a refugee was. There are so many people, unless you are in, dare
But
I
how
say,
will this advert get to that mum? The story we did in Manchester.
well, it won't. It's not that it won't get to mother. If they don't put these things on last thing at night often to draw the parents in to buy the Cocoa Pops or cornflakes or whatever, it's okay to sit down and learn. Nick, if I was going to drive a car, which I can't, I'm hopeless. I used to drive, which I don't drive. But if I had, I need to learn about it. At school, I have cookery lessons.
Right.
It's education, Nick. It's not nanny state. It's like teaching your kid to cross the road. You teach your teenagers, your children, look, see that chicken and chip place there? You don't know where those chickens have been.
Can I put a question to you that's just come in on a text from Mark?
Yeah.
How much TV do children watch these days? Now, that actually is probably one of the better arguments against this, because I don't think children consume as much regular TV now, do they?
I think ITV don't actually have children's TV anymore. I mean, I'm a bit past.
No, I'm sorry. I think it was in program. How many children are watching telly? Traditional, is it still called terrestrial TV? I think Mark's onto something. I don't think they do. They're all TikToking and YouTubing and whatever else they're doing.
They might be, Nick, but they're also near shops where there's a billion different types of the same product in different packets, so that when every time you go in, you're eating the same rubbish, but it's in a different packet that makes you think, oh, that looks nice, I'll buy 10 of those. They're not good.
Lastly, if you don't mind, are you in control of your food intake?
No, I am a food addict, Nick.
When you say, do you mind my asking you, what did you eat yesterday? What did you have for dinner last night or whatever?
I had a sandwich, believe it or not, actually. But Nick, no, it's not. It's destroyed my life.
For dinner?
No, Nick, my weight has destroyed my life. And I think you understand.
Walk me through yesterday. What did you have for breakfast?
As long as I can digest it, I will eat it. I'm a chocolate addict.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a comfort eater. I'm often, it's at night I eat, because as a kid, that was my safe place. At night I'd hide a stack of food under my pillow. People don't ever even look into a lot of the reasons why people are obese.
Jan, thank you for sharing so much. I hope you don't feel the need to have too much of that comfort food through the course of the weekend. Thanks for getting involved in that conversation. We'll take more calls on that in a moment. It's coming up at 8:24. And when you see the headline to this idea, you might think, oh, no, but let's just pause and consider it. Prisoners should jump the housing queue in a bid to slash reoffending rates, says London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Now, the Mayor faces charges of under-delivering on house building in the city. He's now sparked controversy after calling for an honest conversation. I do think that's a bit lazy by politicians. It's like a grown-up conversation. I think it's time for a juvenile, childish, dishonest conversation about this issue. It's obvious what they're going to say. But he points to a certain percentage of prisoners who should be prioritised despite rough sleeping hitting its highest level in London in 10 years. More than 1,100 people living on the streets of the city. Mayor Khan said, for us the big challenge is there's no housing in London, a big shortage. There needs to be an honest conversation with our constituents about the reason why people who have offended and come out of prison may need to jump in the queue to get them housing to avoid them reoffending again. Now, I know initially how terrible you break the law and then you're going to go to the top of the housing queue, but is there an argument for it? Well, Dominic Headley is Government Advisor on Criminal Record Policy, also an ambassador for Clean Sheet, which helps prisoners into work, education or training. And we know, Mr. Headley, good morning, that one of the issues with the early release earlier this week, that it was felt that not enough was done as regards accommodation for those who are let out. So how do you respond to what Mayor Khan has said? Morning to you.
Good morning, Nick. Happy Friday to you. How do I respond to it? I say he has got a point. Honest conversation, I'd say honest conversation and a bit of a strategy and action are needed, because this is an issue that's existed for years and no doubt it was always going to be compounded by releasing lots more people, huge numbers at the same time. So
how worried are you by this early release? Because we, LBC, spoke with a prisoner who thought he'd spend the night on a park bench, and other broadcast organisations had similar stories.
Well, I used to run a housing project or work on a housing project in Kent a few years ago, and so I had to support and represent prisoners who were coming to the end of their time in prison, and it was many a case that many didn't know where they were going to be living upon their release, so it was a great worry to them. And you try to make preparation 3 months before their release. And many were released street homeless. I had to represent people who were in their 70s, in wheelchairs, had been in prison for 40 years, and local authorities were saying, we're not going to consider you for housing because you committed a deliberate act 40 years ago. So you can go and be on the streets. Well, it's natural that that person would be at risk, apart from anything else, so therefore vulnerable. But if somebody had been committed a serious offence, then they could also be a risk to members of the public. So we do need to have a sensible solution to avoid situations where people are placed on the streets and vulnerable.
Is there a percentage of how many prisoners, if they're released without any accommodation and they are effectively left to sofa surf on a sleep or sleep on a bench, what's the percentage or the likelihood of reoffending?
I mean, I've been out that game for a while. I think back in my day that it was around the 30-odd%. But
really,
that's at a very minimum. That's at a very minimum. It could have been much higher, to be honest, Nick. Lots of prisoners were released with no fixed abode to go to. Stories a few years ago of people being given tents upon release, because it's not just London. Sadiq Khan has a great point about London issues, but in many other areas as well, people were being released with tents because there was nowhere for them to go. So it's a huge issue, and we talk about employing prisoners, we talk about giving people a job, and I think we've moved the dial on that quite a bit over the last few years, but we can't really tackle employment for prison leavers. I think government targets are for them to be in employment within 6 weeks, right? Which I think is stunning upon release. And the reason I think it's stunning is they'll say, well, where are they going to live? How are you going to take up a job in 6 weeks if you don't actually have a place to go upon release?